alert. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to
Real major keys to getting to college. Harrell.
denying ordinance of the most extreme kind. It requires a willingness to put up with temporary evils on the basis of the subtle and sophisticated understanding that if you step in to do something about them, you not only may make them worse, but you will spread your tentacles and get bad results elsewhere.
I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
You're listening to the Paul Harrell Program, brought to you by Conduit Media Group.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the program. Thanks so much for being with us. If you're just joining us, thanks for listening. You have found the intersection of conservative ideas and reality. We're building a liberty machine, and we want you to help us do that. One of the ways you can do so is to give us a phone call or a text message. That number, 870-275-9799. So the name Michael Reed Tate. The name Michael Reed Tate is, I think, what a lot of people in Arkansas, I mean, this name is on the minds of a lot of people in Arkansas today. This is the guy that decided to drive his Dodge Dart, and I know that that's the car he was driving, and I'll tell you why here in a minute, or it'll be just obvious to you. Decided to drive his Dodge Dart into the newly erected Ten Commandments monument on the Capitol grounds at the Marble Palace in Little Rock. I mean, it's absolutely amazing, this Michael Reed Tate guy. I've got these headlines. Arkansas installs Ten Commandments monument. Can we put that up there on the screen? Arkansas installs Ten Commandments monument. Look at that. It's a beautiful monument. I have heard no one make reference to the fact that, I mean, when Moses brought the Ten Commandments down the first time, I mean, he kind of destroyed those initially. You know, the first, I mean, so, then there had to be more created after that. He kind of got mad about the idolatry of the people, the golden calf. So that's yesterday's headline, though. That's the June 27th headline at 10:21 p.m. is when it was posted. And that is that, what is that, NWA homepage? Is that what that is? Okay. And so then we have the next one, which is newly placed Ten Commandments monument is destroyed. Let's see. The full newly placed Ten Commandments statue at Arkansas Capitol destroyed. Man arrested. That man again, Michael Reed Tate is his name. He's from Van Buren, so he's an Arkansas man. He has been arrested. He's 32 years old. I'm sorry, Michael Tate Reed is his name, not Michael Reed Tate. Look at some of those photos right there. I'm sure you guys have seen them. I mean, he really demolished this thing. I mean, he really did. Let's see, what else do we have? I mean, let's see here. This is the part of the article that I thought was incredible. So, this is from THV, but they write, according to CBS affiliate 5 News, Reed, this guy, has a history of similar behavior, destroying the Ten Commandments monument in Oklahoma. He was charged with destruction of state property or improvements, indecent exposure, making threatening statements, reckless driving, and operating a vehicle with a revoked license back in 2014. In 2015, Tulsa World reported that Reed stated his psychotic break was inspired by a Dracula film and that Michael Jackson's spirit was living inside meat. I think I remember covering this story about a guy who destroyed the Oklahoma Ten Commandments statue or monument, talking about Michael Jackson's spirit was living inside meat. He also believed, according to reports, that he was, quote, the incarnation of an occult leader, end quote, and attempted to contact, quote, Lucifer's high priestess he called Gwyneth Paltrow, end quote. Back in the day, back during, when the Oklahoma situation happened. He said, "I'm so sorry that this is all happening, and I wish I could take it all back." That was in a letter to Tulsa World. So he wishes he could take it all back, and yet there was something inside. The itch was still there. He just had to scratch it. You have this is and I'm telling you, the story gets weirder because let's get this audio queued up over here on the right side of things. So the story gets much weirder. And the reason it gets weirder is because you have this guy who says that he was an incarnation of an occult leader, but then his video, he starts the video off by talking about the fact that he mentions Jesus actually. So if you want to turn this channel on right here, you just turn it on and okay. So we lose the video. You could probably use that one on the desktop right there. Yeah, if you scroll it all the way back, yeah, I bet that one will work. If you turn it on, we good? Okay, yeah, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Hello, this is Michael Reed, and I'm a firm believer that part of salvation is that we not only have faith in Jesus Christ, but we obey the commands of God.
Strange.
And
that
we confess Jesus.
Did we lose it? Oh, wait, back it up. Do it again. Yeah, sorry. So that's the beginning of this guy. So he has a front-loaded statement here. Go ahead. Do we have it? Are we losing it? Okay.
Is that we not only have faith in Jesus Christ, but we obey the commands of God.
Yep.
And that we confess Jesus as Lord. But one thing I do not support is the violation of our constitutional right.
Okay, but all right, stop. So I believe that we confess Jesus Christ as Lord. But I also believe in our constitutional rights. Keep going. To separation of church and state.
Freedom that's guaranteed to us.
Guaranteed.
That guarantees the separation of church and state, because no one religion should the government represent.
Stop. All right. So has anybody ever told Michael Tate Reed that the phrase separation of church and state, is not anywhere in the Constitution? You think anybody's ever said that? You think he's ever even heard that's the case? That the phrase separation of church and state is nowhere in the Constitution? And he believes that, and I'm telling you, it's a very strange development. The fact that you've got reports of this guy believing that the spirit of Michael Jackson was in meat, but then he starts the beginning of his video. And this video, hang on a second, because here's the real facts here. I've got this heavy.com article. 5 facts you need to know about Michael Tate Reed. Okay, and number 1 is Reed streamed the Arkansas incident on Facebook Live and was arrested at the scene. Okay. Then he actually, this is the most interesting part. According to Arkansas Online, Chris Powell, a spokesman with the Secretary of State's office, said he was called early Wednesday, told a man drove a vehicle through the monument. Arkansas newspaper reported that an officer witnessed the incident and allegedly saw Reed start from a stopped position and ram the Ten Commandments monument. The monument ended up as hunks of granite. Reed was taken to the hospital and then jail, where he faces charges of defacing objects of public respect, trespassing on Capitol grounds, and first-degree criminal mischief. Reed also streamed this video around the same time, and that's the video you're listening to. Around the same time, Reed is saying that he is essentially about to do this. And this video goes on. Listen to this. It's crazy.
So, I got excuse my language, but damn, Michael, back at it again with the white plans.
Stop.
So if you're in support.
So he's saying, I'm back at it again. Let's assume that the satanic stuff was correct. And let's assume that afterwards he learned something about Jesus. He heard something about Jesus, right, after the fact. And then he makes this video. He talks about belief in Jesus. But I also believe, he says, we have this constitutional right to, and so because of that, I guess that trumps whatever God's commandments are. And the irony here is incredible because he mentions following God's commandments. He's basically saying, yeah, God's commandments are great, but I think I need to destroy the actual list of those commandments, because I mean, you guys be the judge, but he's actually very calculating. It's almost like he sees and he knows that this may make him a liberal, progressive hero, because he's planning out. He's asking for charity in this video. Listen to this.
Part of this, so you can talk about it and using the hashtag checkmate.
Checkmate, if you want to talk about this.
And I also am using my own car that I paid for with my settlement from work when I hurt my back and had 4 back surgeries, and it's paid for, and it's a 2016 Dodge Dart, which I really enjoy and am able to bless people with. So I will need another vehicle. So I started a GoFundMe campaign.
Stop, back it up. First of all, back that up. But second of all, your Dodge Dart that the people of Arkansas, I don't think they consider what you did to the Ten Commandments statue a blessing. So your Dodge Dart may have blessed other people with rides and things like that pretty much socially acceptable to do with cars. Use them for what their intended purpose. They're not supposed to be battering rams to destroy public property. That the Ten Commandments statue is there. That monument was there because of a law that was passed by elected representatives. Okay, it went through a committee process. It was voted on in that committee. It went to one of the chambers, and then it was passed out of that chamber. Then it went to another committee, and then another chamber, and then it was signed. I mean, that's what happened, right? So there's nobody's religious freedom is being denied. Congress hasn't made a law establishing a religion with the Ten Commandments statue being erected. None of that's happened. And as a matter of fact, there's no discrimination towards a Baphomet statue, because we know the occult leaders in this country, the Luciferians, the Satanists, they want a Baphomet statue if you have a Ten Commandments statue. And I say, and hear me out, if they want a Baphomet statue, then you get a legislator to sponsor a bill to get that done. And not only do you need a sponsor, you got to have somebody write it. After somebody writes it, which the Bureau of Legislative Research, I presume, would do, unless, we get into one of those Kentucky clerk situations where they refuse to, which you may. And then after that, it's got to get the votes. So, I guess if the Satanists and Luciferians, if they want to be able to actually have a claim to say there's real discrimination, then that first of all, they got to get a law passed to put up the Baphomet statue. And then if the people refuse to do that at that point, then you have a case. But I don't know. Something tells me you're not going to be able to find a single state representative or state senator to sponsor your piece of legislation for you. But there is no religion, because there's no religion being respected here. I mean, is it Michael Tate Reed or Michael Reed Tate? Michael Tate Reed, is he going to try to ram the Supreme Court building? I mean, is that what he's going to do next? Because the Supreme Court building, they've got the Ten Commandments still up, thankfully. I don't want to give him any ideas. You're right. I don't want him to do that. I just am saying, look, Ten Commandments are historical. Western civilization is based on the Ten Commandments, among other things. Our laws are based around the Ten Commandments. You wind up in court if you break almost any one of those. Murder, you wind up in court. Divorce, you wind up in court. Thou shalt, think about it, thou shalt not commit adultery. A lot of times people who commit adultery, they get divorced, and then you wind up in court. You steal, you wind up in court. See, that's why they're relevant. That's why we base our laws around them, okay? You covet, you may end up trying to steal or something like that. Anyway, so back it up a little bit. I whack it up all the way, because I want you to hear his spiel about how much, no, not all the way, but I said all the way. I want you to hear his spiel about his car, and then the fact that he's asking a GoFundMe page. This is before he rams into the statue. This guy is a model leftist. I mean, I think you could write a thesis on this guy and get a doctorate in political studies of the left. I mean, what our modern day culture has created here. Continue, please.
It's paid for, and it's a 2016 Dodge Dart, which I really enjoy and am able to bless people with. So I will need another vehicle. So I started a GoFundMe campaign called defending our constitutional rights. So please, if you can, help me.
This guy's crazy.
And thank you. God bless you. Bye.
This guy's crazy. I mean, this guy's probably certifiably insane. And it to me, does it bother anybody out there that he starts by saying, by talking about Jesus and claiming Jesus? Does that bother anybody? And then immediately being like, publicly, and then being like, but because see, here's my fear is that there'll be people on the left that say who have no idea who Jesus is, and they have maybe a negative view of Christians, and they're going to say, that's a good Christian, you know. There are some on the left that would probably, and I promise you, this guy's probably going to be internet famous. That's a good Christian. See, he claims to be a Christian, but he's willing to essentially engage in, public, I wouldn't say terrorism, but let me just say this. You can lump this right here in with everything else that's happening. People going to college campuses and not letting them speak, with bats and masks, and they go in and they won't let Ann Coulter or even that Yiannopoulos guy or whatever. It's just speech, it's just words. People are so afraid of that, and so they'll destroy everything. You can lump this incident also in with what happened to Steve Scalise. You can do those things. Because I think it's I'm just saying I think it's connected. Our rhetoric is out of control, and I have to go to break, but when I come back, I'll tell you why. I mean, if this doesn't emphasize why what we're doing here is important in the times that we're living in, I don't know what is, but I'll kind of editorialize a little bit more. Back in a minute.
Don't wait until it's too late to recover what belongs to you. At Triple R Recovery, service is our specialty. We offer recovery of ATVs, boats, vehicles, and personal possessions. If you are in need of our services and want back what is rightfully yours, give us a call for 24/7 assistance at 1-866-593-7457. That's 1-866-593-7457. Or email us at triplrrecovery@gmail.com.
Arkansas small businesses are tired of taxes that are too high and regulations that work as obstacles to small business success. If you own a small business, it's time to take action. Now, I'm not talking about the local chambers of commerce. I'm talking about an organization that's actually run by small business owners and are fighting for small businesses right here in the state of Arkansas. They're called Conduit for Action, and they're on your side. Conduit for Action is here not to get something from the government, but to be left alone by the government. Think of them as your personal advocate for limited government at the Capitol in Little Rock. If you're tired of all the politicians talking with no results and ready for action, start outsourcing your government affair needs with Conduit for Action. Go now to conduitforaction.org and click on Contact Us on the right side of the page. That's conduitforaction.org, and stand up for small business in Arkansas. Do you need to advertise your business product or service, but not sure what the best choice is? Folks, allow me to introduce you to Talk Radio. You're listening to it right now. Talk radio is one of the most unique mediums in all of advertising because it actually works. It gets the information you want to the people you want to get it to. And by the way, those people are educated, well-informed decision makers of their household, and most of them have disposable income. If this is a target audience for your business, then you have to consider advertising on my show, The Paul Harrell Program. We have options for most any budget and can provide you with exciting opportunities to grow your business. We can put your message across the state, or we can help you locally. Call 870-275-9755 if you have any questions. That's 870-275-9755, or visit my website, paulharrell.com, and click on Advertise.
Want to go back and listen to previous shows? Apple users can subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. Don't have an Apple device? Head on over to paulharrell.com and click on Podcast. It's free and available 24/7 because the Liberty Machine never sleeps.
All right, so there's also another audio clip that's circulating out there of this man, Michael Reed, This is right before he rammed into the statue. He Facebook Lived it.
Where do you go when you're faced with adversity and trials and challenges and the...
Oh my goodness. Freedom!
And thus ended the Dodge Dart. You hear that again? He's listening to some sweet music.
Where do you go when you're faced with adversity and trials and challenges and the...
Apparently, oh gosh, I don't want to say it. Apparently, you don't turn to God. I mean, apparently, where do you go? I'm sorry. That's just ridiculous.
Where do you go when you're faced with adversity and trials and challenges and the...
Oh my goodness. Freedom!
And it gets close in, then the video ends. And then he gets arrested. So Senator Jason Rapert, who was responsible for this, Senator Jason Rapert, who was responsible for, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Senator Jason Rapert was not responsible for what this guy did. That's not at all what I meant to say. But Senator Jason Rapert, who was responsible for the Ten Commandments, he sponsored the bill that got us to this point. He did say it's going to be rebuilt, and I say great. I mean, why not? I have no problem with the Ten Commandments statue. I know a lot of people do. I see it as an opportunity to try to educate folks as to why the idea of separation of church and state is not what you think it is on the left. You have been sold a lie. You have been sold a reinterpretation of a principle that was meant to protect those who are religious and have convictions. I mean, that's what it was meant to do. But on a grander scale of things, on a serious note, let this be evidence. We are in a lot more dangerous times than I think we want to admit. You go look at some of these other countries, third world countries, where things are a lot more fragile than you think they are. When we say we're building a liberty machine, part of the liberty that we have, part of the liberty we're trying to get back and preserve, protects us from a society where if you don't like something, you just turn violent and decide to destroy a statue. Or if you don't like somebody, you turn violent and you shoot them in a baseball field, right? The militant left, I know you leftists and you progressives, you like to project all of that onto the right, but, folks on the right carry guns for their own protection to protect the innocent. You guys are engaging in things that are destroying things because you're throwing a temper tantrum, or really it's a Trumper tantrum. That's what you're doing. You lost, right? We're going to get to the twit of the day later on in the show, and folks, it was so refreshing. Go check out my Twitter the last 12 hours at Paul Harrell 1776. I love arguing with liberals who admit they're liberals because you get them to admit that they're not for individual freedom and liberty. And that was very refreshing to argue. That's what we're fighting against. And I'll explain myself more when we come back.
Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the program. This is hour number 2. My name is Paul. You have found the intersection of conservative ideas and reality. We are building a liberty machine, and we want you to be a part of that. One of the ways you can do that is to call us or text us, 870-275-9799. All right, so what do we got here? Man, I'm looking forward to this segment here. I really am. Have you seen what the Arkansas Democrat Party, what they are doing? I'm gonna have to get my keyboard closer here. So the Arkansas Democratic Party, they've tweeted a few things recently. And what they're tweeting is, you see this there, fellow Democrats. This is you can follow them on Twitter if you want. I mean, I wouldn't suggest it, but you could. It's at ARKDems. Not DIMS. Not like they're dim. Like they're Dems. ARKDEMS. Fellow Democrats, we are now seeking nominations. Look at this. We're seeking nominations for our annual awards. The following awards will be given at this year's hashtag Clinton dinner. Now, that used to be, what's funny about this, folks, is that actually the Clinton dinner. The Clinton dinner used to be the Jefferson-Jackson Day dinner, but they had to get rid of that one. They had to get rid of it. You remember that? It's part of the Arkansas Democrat Party. They're ashamed of Thomas Jefferson. They're ashamed of him. They didn't want to name the guy who wrote the Declaration of Independence because he had slaves. They had to change the name of the Jefferson-Jackson dinner. It's pretty pathetic. So now it's called the Clinton dinner because that's fantastic. I suppose that's just that just not is it the Bill Clinton dinner or is it just called Clinton? Is it kind of is it a nod to like the whole family? If it's a nod to the whole family, and I only say this because honestly I don't really know how pro-choice Bill Clinton was. I mean, that was before, but see, back in the 90s, people didn't realize what abortion was. Now there's been an education movement. People actually know you're taking a life here, and the popular opinion on this is just gone way back to the right, because people understand what this is. But if you want to make this if the Clinton dinner wants to be about that the Democrats are throwing, if that encompasses Hillary at all and her radical pro-abortion views, pro-Margaret Sanger views, I got news for you, folks. I mean, in a couple of decades, when abortion is looked at the way slavery is looked at today, and I really believe that it will be, they're going to have to change the name of their dinner again. Just throwing that out there. And changing the name of the dinner won't change the fact that something...
The Paul Harrell Program.
Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll be talking with Senator Linda Collins-Smith. That's at 5 o'clock. That show starts, that hour starts at 5:06. Okay, 5:06 is where you need to be if you want to hear Senator Linda Collins-Smith. Got Mark tweeting me, next will be the Satanists suing to place their monstrosity next to it. Well, yeah, we were kind of addressing that, and you're exactly right. I'm sure they will, but again, you know what? I'd love for this case to make it to the Supreme Court once with Neil Gorsuch and maybe absent Anthony Kennedy, and let's see where we get. Maybe we can set right what's been wrong for so long about what constitutes a violation of the First Amendment. First Amendment's very simple. Congress shall make no law respecting establishment of religion. In this case, the question's got to be asked. If we're going to look at the words, did Congress make a law saying that this religion is the one that you have to follow? No. Congress didn't do that. Matter of fact, Congress did nothing. State of Arkansas passed a law saying, hey, we're just going to put a monument up that has these 10 things on them. And it doesn't force anybody to do anything. Right? It's perfectly fine. Does not violate the First Amendment. Not at all. Not even a little bit. I know people want it to, but not even a little bit does it violate the First Amendment right to freedom of religion. You're not forced to do anything. I'm so amused about the liberals. Their idea of force is so so when it comes to health care, they want more Obamacare. They think it's great. They want a single payer system. I know this because I was engaging with them on Twitter today. They don't think they're forcing people to do anything. They don't think they're forcing. They don't see forcing people to buy insurance as a negative thing. Because because they say, well, we're all going to be better off in the end. Well, first of all, we're not going to be better off in the end. Have you seen the VA? Have you seen what real government health care is like? It has the reliability and the quality of the VA. Sorry, no thanks. I'd love to fix the VA, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to try what they're doing on myself. And it's funny, they just they have no means of self-reflection and evaluating themselves and saying, am I being consistent from issue to issue? Right? I mean, they just don't. They want to control the liberals in this country, the progressives in this country. They want to control every aspect of your life, except whether or not you can have an abortion. On that, they claim they want you to be able to choose, but what they really do is they want to preserve your right to choose death. Very strange. But in everything else in your life, they want to control which doctor you can see. They want to control the rich. They want to make them what they perceive to be rich. They want to make them pay more so other people can get something for free. They want to control what kind of toilet you have, what kind of light bulb you have in your house. They want to control what kind of car you drive. How many emissions come out of your car? Like what whatever the measurement is. That's what they want. And again, I'm just saying, I was engaged with this guy on Twitter. We're not going to get to it now, but I was engaged with this guy on Twitter, and it was refreshing. I got to argue with a liberal today that actually admits he's a liberal, that actually admits he believes that, yes, we should, as individuals, be conscripted by law to be held responsible for other people's health care costs, for other people's health care. We should be. We're financially responsible for someone else, and of course they don't dispute that. I had all these other liberals come in and they say, "Well, wouldn't that be better? Wouldn't our society work better?" Blah 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 blah. They want to talk about the ends, which, again, we can argue how their system is not going to work, but they don't want to talk about what we're having to give up. They don't want to talk about how they are the people forcing other people to have to participate in this. That it's not voluntary, it's forced. And they don't want to have to. And this all started by me saying, hey, look, working folks can't afford health care under Obamacare. And then they say things like, well, premiums were going up before Obamacare. That's true. I didn't say this on Twitter because I was just done arguing with him, because I got this guy to admit he didn't believe that individual rights are not a part of the discussion when it comes to health care. Once he got to do that, I was like, thank you. We can agree to disagree. I'll see you at the ballot box. Oh, and by the way, I'm really glad Pennsylvania voted for Trump. That's a pretty cool thing. But anyway, I got to move on. Sorry, I had no intention of going this far. I was going to say something else, but thankfully I blanked. So the phone number, if you want to call us or text us, 870-275-9799. That's 870-275-9799. We're going to move on now to a Conduit for Action article that really kind of accentuates what we've been talking about here for a little while, last couple of days. I think the last 3 days in a row. But Mr. David Ferguson, who was on this show about a week ago today, he has a piece out over at conduitforaction.org, has the FBI investigation of Arkansas state legislators expanded. In recent news, David Ferguson writes, the Bureau of Legislative Research hired outside legal counsel to handle requests from federal investigators for documents of members of the Arkansas General Assembly. The BLR writes legislation. We know what they do. Media commentators have been quick to assume this means The FBI is still looking for records concerning General Improvement Fund grants. Months ago, one former legislator pled guilty to taking kickbacks for grants, and another was indicted for the same scheme. As a former BLR employee, I think it's more likely the federal investigation has broadened into other areas. This is a great piece, a follow-up. Can you go to conduitforaction.org and pull this article up and throw it up on the screen, please? Listen to this. Why I think it's unlikely to be about GIF grants, okay? There would be little reason for the federal investigators to look for GIF grant records at the Bureau of Legislative Research, and at this point, the FBI ought to be aware of that. If they have interviewed legislative staff, investigators know there is no reason for the BLR to have any records of GIF grants. The decision on who would receive grants was made by the individual legislators long after legislative sessions, and there would be no reason to involve the staff, David Ferguson writes. The legislators do not have personal staff. The staff provides services to all legislators. Bureau of Legislative Research maintains the official email accounts of legislators. Huge right there. And thankfully, David broke that on our show last week, that the Bureau of Legislative Research maintains the official email accounts of legislators. Could the FBI be looking for legislators' email? Perhaps. But I would be surprised if there's anything to find. Many legislators use their private email accounts for legislative business instead of the official email account. I mean, David, I'd be surprised if they did that too, but I'd be surprised at the stupidity of it. But something tells me, I'm just thinking of the generation ahead of me or the generation ahead of that one. Something tells me there's some people that still don't understand quite exactly how email works. It's just a thought, but I mean, maybe there are people who would send incriminating things through the BLR's email server. During the legislative session, their state email accounts become inundated with public inquiries and form letters from interest groups, and it would be difficult for legislators to sort through all the emails to find urgent messages from colleagues and staff. He goes, no, they are not using private email to get around the Freedom of Information Act. Their working papers are exempt. If a legislator was going to do something nefarious, he probably wouldn't use the state email account. But even if a legislator's state email inbox had an incriminating message, would it still be there? Ferguson writes, unless things have changed since I retired, if a legislator deletes an email, it will go away once backup tapes are reused. Isn't there a requirement for legislators and staff to maintain emails? David Ferguson writes, no. This is news. No. In 2005, the legislature passed a records retention law for state agencies, but exempted the legislature and its staff and exempted other elected officials and their staffs. General Improvement Fund grants by legislators have been under federal scrutiny for quite some time. If the FBI thought there might be a treasure trove of GIF grant information held by legislative staff, wouldn't they have sought it long before now? So he's kind of reinforcing his point. This is something different than GIF. Now we get to this part. Why I think the investigation may have broadened. David Ferguson writes, could the federal request still be about GIF grants? Sure. But as I said before, it is extremely unlikely the BLR has any documents on GIF grants. I'm reminded of a similar investigation about 20 years ago in which a federal investigation of Arkansas legislators spread into additional areas. In the late 1990s, the FBI investigated a number of attorney legislators over the awarding of contracts for a new state program. It was a new Guardian ad litem program, which was to provide legal representation for children in certain matters. Several attorney legislators and their friends were going to get the contracts. Some legislators were convicted of corruption, several were indicted, and many more were investigated. Several people under investigation became cooperating witnesses. As people cooperated, it became more likely the investigation would broaden. Rumors flew about who might be cooperating, whether they were wearing a wire, and what additional matters may have come under scrutiny. Folks, I can tell you the exact same suspicions of who's wearing a wire have happened in the last couple of years here in Arkansas. While the main focus of the 1990s investigation stayed on the new program, more indictments came in unrelated areas. One legislator was indicted over the sale of a used irrigation system to a state agency. Another was indicted for the solicitation of bribes from owners of Greyhound racing dogs. 20 years later, there is another FBI investigation of Arkansas legislators. And people are again whispering, who is cooperating? Are they wearing a wire? And what else is the FBI looking into? The Bureau of Legislative Research is unlikely to have any documents that directly incriminate a legislator, David Ferguson writes. What the BLR has are communications and records that could be helpful to federal investigators in establishing timelines of when a legislator took certain actions and compare it to other actions, such as receiving certain benefits or contracts. The document might answer questions such as, when did a legislator begin working on legislation to inquire about a contract or issue? If the legislator provided a bill draft or outline to staff, does it say who gave it to the legislator? And then thirdly, who did the legislator have staff work with? This is all just idle speculation of a retired employee of the Bureau of Legislative Research, but it does seem to be deja vu all over again. Again, that's David Ferguson. With a great, you need to check it out over at conduitforaction.org. That's conduitforaction.org. Go there now. Before we go to break, I want to tell you about the Northeast Arkansas Real Estate School. I sat down with them this week, actually. They're fantastic people at the Northeast Arkansas Real Estate School. And you know what they want you to know, and we've told you this many times, but they'll come anywhere in Arkansas, and they'll set up shop, and they'll teach you the business. They'll teach you everything you need to know to take that test to become a licensed real estate agent, okay? You can do it all with only 6 days of class. And they make learning the business fun. They give you real-world situations. It's not just – and look, you're going to be equipped. Here's the thing about the Northeast Arkansas Real Estate School. You're going to be equipped to pass this exam that I'm sure. Now, you could also do it online. You don't have to attend the class. But again, they'll set up shop. They'll come to you, and they'll teach a class anywhere in Arkansas. But you could also do it online. The website, neaprofessionalschools.com. That's neaprofessionalschools.com. But there's more, okay? Not only can the Northeast Arkansas Real Estate School teach you the business with only 6 days of class, they'll also offer for you guys who already have your real estate license, continuing education classes for your local boards of realtors, local offices, and they offer discounts for large groups. They're even going to offer you a discount by mentioning my name. You're going to get 10% off the cost of your class if you mention my name, Paul. Just say, hey, heard this on the Paul Harrell program. I'd like my 10% off. It's the Northeast Arkansas Real Estate School. They are licensed by the Arkansas Real Estate Commission. They must adhere to their rules and regulations. Give them a call today, please. 870-336-4155. 870-336-4155. Or find out about class times and other classes at neaprofessionalschools.com. Again, mention my name, get 10% off. neaprofessionalschools.com. Back in a minute.
Whether you're looking for a small desktop copier and printer, thinking about adding color to your documents, or considering a document management solution, Total Document Solutions is there to help. In business for decades, Total Document Solutions is an independently owned company that specializes in the ability to provide a high level of service in Northwest Arkansas, the Arkansas River Valley, Southwest Missouri, and Southeast Kansas as an exclusive Platinum Authorized Sales Agent for the Xerox Corporation. At Total Document Solutions, they offer customers technology services to improve business results. Their dedicated sales team has the unmatched industry knowledge, professionalism, and expertise needed to address the unique challenges of your business. Total Document Solutions is independent, local, and well-connected to serve your office products and document needs. Call them today at 479-575-0770. That's 479-575-0770 for your Total Document Solutions.
This is Common Sense and Liberty. I'm Donnie Copeland. The Republican Party of Arkansas has something called a platform, and it's basically what they believe. Things like lower taxes, right to own and bear arms, encouraging individual responsibility and initiative. Yet in this legislative session, we see Republicans fighting against the right to own and bear arms by amending over and over the campus carry bill. We see instead of lowering taxes and fees being raised 8 different times. We see the attack against individual responsibility and initiative by continuing to embrace Obamacare Medicaid expansion called Arkansas Works. So what we need is not conservatives or not Republicans, because those names don't seem to mean anything anymore. We need platform Republicans. This is Donnie Copeland for Common Sense and Liberty.
In Arkansas, every single hour there is a politician not getting what they want. For some, it's an absolute nightmare. The sleepless nights wondering if progress will ever come. Lying awake pondering how to grow government in this political climate. Asking questions like, why don't my constituents want to pay a few cents more in taxes? Everyday politicians feel abused and neglected. These politicians are starving for power. They're hungry, confused, and they don't understand why no one seems to care. Will you be a patriot and commit today to help these poor, starved for power public officials? It's simple. All you have to do is commit to stay silent and never dissent or stand in the way of your politicians' rise to power. Never speak up or get engaged to stop the growth of government. By committing to these simple steps, you will ensure the life of your politician will be filled with contentment and the respect they are desperately seeking, as well as campaign contributions from lobbyists.
This message brought to you by Aristocrats Serving Arkansas.
PHP Parody.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. 870-275-9799. That is the telephone number. If you would like to contribute to the conversation today, you can give us a phone call. You can send us a text message. And again, 870-275-9799. Let's see here. Yeah, somebody said, and we're going to get to this Twitter. Look, we've got a Twit of the day coming up in the next hour, okay? But somebody on Twitter, essentially, and I got into a liberal network. I responded to this guy on Twitter, @JewBilly, and he, I guess all of his friends kind of ganged up on me. I never really felt ganged up on, but, you know, one of these guys said, do they have an entrance exam to become a right-wing talk radio host? And I said, thankfully, no. But if they did, it'd be run by the same incompetent people that you want to run our health care. So I'm really thankful that there isn't an entrance. I'm thankful that I'm free to do a radio show, and people can like it or they don't have to like it. You know, on that story about the BLR and government email. Oh gosh, that's an insult. I can't do that. I can't read that one. I can't. Some of these things, I just don't want to be mean. I'm sorry, I don't want to be mean. Yeah. Let's see. Do you think this would happen if there were no social media? Heck no. Are you talking about the Ten Commandments? So do I think that this would happen if there were no social media? Do I think, are you talking about knocking down the Ten Commandments statue, or are you talking about the environment just generally? Whether we're talking about shooting Steve Scalise because he's a Republican, or burning down, Berkeley because they're going to have a conservative speaker there. I don't know specifically what you're talking. I guess I'll try to address both of them. There's no question social media is extremely useful in spreading information. That's all kinds of information. Hate-filled information, positive information, wrong information, meaning information that is factually inaccurate. Gosh, if CNN's not social media, and if CNN can do it, I tell you, man, that stuff about CNN just doing all this stuff of Russia, admitting that it's all for the ratings, that's incredible to me. Now, look, I'm not naive. I'm not saying that there's no other, corporate news media that does things specifically for ratings. But, when you hear that producer, the James O'Keefe Project Veritas video talking about how, hey, there's no evidence for anything. Trump's right. It's just, wow. How is CNN probably going to survive this? Because the corporate media, they're doing the bidding of their overlords, really. So they're probably going to survive this. But my goodness, the word propaganda isn't enough, because it's like you can't. I don't even think that accurately describes what we're facing now. Propaganda is always cloaked as being objective. Can we say that? Propaganda is always cloaked. If we're talking about straight up propaganda, it is always cloaked. Nazi propaganda, okay, or it's always cloaked as saying, hey, no, this is what the truth is. This is it. And we're objectively telling you the story. I think we're so far beyond that, because we are inundated with screens and texts and this source or that source. Folks, the new objectivism are opinions that honestly say, like I'm saying to you, this is called the Paul Harrell program, and I believe in the Constitution and limited government. I don't believe in welfare programs for those who don't truly need them, okay? I believe in smaller government because, quite frankly, it has to be limited in what it can force me and you to do, because human beings cannot be perfected in this life, and it will only attract those that want to dominate other people. It will only attract those that want to enrich themselves. Well, okay, only what I mean by that is it will mostly attract those who are going to enrich themselves, those who want power, like in a bad way, in an evil way. They're more gonna, because most other people who don't want those things are out creating businesses and jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not wanting to dominate their neighbor. They're not wanting to go and pass a law that they have to live under. I believe that you can never eliminate corruption in government. And because I believe that necessitates, in order to protect my liberty and your liberty, government be as small and limited in its focus. Man, it was so refreshing arguing with a true liberal today, a true progressive, somebody that wants to give all of their responsibilities and just give way to apathy and give it to government. It was so refreshing. And I did all that on Twitter. You can go read it. We'll cover it in the next hour at Paul Harrell, 1776. Back in a minute.
Rush, Glenn, Sean, and Paul. This is Jonesboro's 1013 FM News Talk, KBTM.
Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
Offensive happened in history, by the way. Now, let them own it. Let them own it. Don't change it. Anyway, so fellow Democrats, we are now seeking nominations for our annual awards. The following awards will be given at this year's end. I'm sorry, I did the same thing again at this year's Clinton dinner. Goes on. You can kind of scroll down here. Hang on one second. Scroll down. Hang on. Did I click out of it? I think I might have clicked out of it. Let me see here. You go down here. Submissions. Now, this is what I wanted right here. Submissions can be made at the link below. Okay. So at the link below, you see the clintondinner.com/award submit. So when we click on over there, this is what it looks like. Let me see if I can't zoom in on this a little bit for you folks. I'm producing the show and hosting the show myself today. So the 2017 Summer Gathering and Clinton Dinner. This is for the Arkansas Democrat Party, by the way. So they're asking for names of top Democrats. Who are the top Democrats? So I decided, and I'm going to do this here on air. I'm going to submit some names of, well, I mean, you know, I think they're top Democrats. I mean, the Democrat Party may not think that they're top Democrats, but I think that they're top Democrats, okay? So we're going to start with your name. Okay, I'll be transparent here. My name's Paul. I shouldn't go by an alias, right? I mean, they're going to know who it is. Hey, you know what? You guys out there should submit your names too. Submit names for top Democrats. Okay? I mean, you really should. Okay, I'm going to give the show email address here. Let's see here. There we go. So we have that. We'll give a phone number of the show phone number of 275 then see 9799. Okay. All right, so who am I nominating? Okay. Who am I going to nominate for a top Democrat? James. And we're going to scroll over here. Sturch. Now, James Sturch is actually a Republican, but I'm nominating him. I think he deserves a top Democrat award. Okay. I don't have his address. I do have his contact number, but I don't know. Should I put it here for you guys? I don't think so. But why am I nominating State Representative James Sturch for a Democrat Party award? Okay. Let me write this out for them. James took to the floor. I'd say no. James took to the House floor for the first time. Excuse my typing skills. For the first time to speak against the Republican school choice bill. That was seriously, that was the first time State Representative James Sturch ever took to the floor of the House to speak for or against something. So he was speaking against the Republican school choice bill. Okay. And then we say, and I'm going to say here, way to go, James, because this is a Democrat award list, right? Okay. But then I'm going to say this. His liberal credentials don't end there. When you recommend somebody for awards, you can never use too many exclamation points. A lot of people don't know that. He also voted for tax increases. Oh, messed up there. Also voted for tax increases, we'll say to make, or let's just say this, to increase the size of government. There we go. All right, so recap. Why am I nominating this person is what the Democrat website is asking me. I'm saying James took to the House floor for the first time to speak against the Republican school choice bill. Way to go, James. His liberal credentials don't end there. He also voted for tax increases to increase the size of government. I'm using tax increases and then increase. I don't like that.
The maintenance of a free society is a very difficult and complicated thing, and it requires a self-denying ordinance of the most extreme kind. It requires a willingness to put up with temporary evils on the basis of the subtle and sophisticated understanding that if you step in to do something about them, you not only may make them worse, but you will spread your tentacles and get bad results elsewhere.
I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. We lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
You're listening to the Paul Harrell Program, brought to you by Conduit Media Group.
Hey, folks, welcome to the program. Thanks so much for being with us. My name is Paul. You have found the intersection of conservative ideas and reality. It's hour number 2. Joining us, I want to welcome back to the program. We have Senator Linda Collins-Smith with us. She represents District 19. Senator Linda Collins-Smith, thanks for being back on.
Hey, Paul. I'm proud to be on with you guys today.
Absolutely. So glad that you're here. I wanted to have you on to discuss a couple of things. Most importantly, and we'll get to this here in a minute, but I just want to talk about maybe the tough bills that you have, maybe some of the tougher votes that you've had to make in the last session. But before we maybe get to that, I want to talk a little bit about the Senate Judiciary Committee. This last session, you were the vice chair, and I just would wonder, were there any bills, because I know there were some problems with meeting with that committee later in session. Were there any bills that you really wanted to see go through that Senate Judiciary Committee process, but they weren't allowed to?
To go through, that didn't come out of the committee.
Yeah, that didn't even get heard. Were there any of them that didn't even get heard,
There were plenty that didn't get heard. It was absolutely frustrating for anyone, of course, that came that had a bill. There were some bills that asked to be, some legislators I know for sure, one that I talked to in the Senate that said he asked to have his bills moved, that he was going to have, asked to have them moved because if he had to, because he couldn't get them heard. What he finally did, whether they actually came to our committee and came out or not, or whether he had to take them through another committee, who knows if they all got heard or not. I know there were people sat there. It was frustrating for them and for all of us, because the chair, of course, was Senator Hutchinson, and he would cut off the meeting early, or he would say, we're ending the committee meeting, or we'll meet this afternoon again, and then he would not meet. And part of that was because there was a bill that he absolutely did not want heard, and he did not want to, the days that he thought that the majority of the votes were present to pass the public safety bill, was when he thought the votes were there, he was not going to hold a judiciary meeting.
Yes,
and judiciary has a lot of bills, and so we need to meet a lot. And, people couldn't have their bills. They would sit there for, the longest, sometimes for hours, or they'd come back and they would sit with hopes to have their bill heard. And I said, Senator, these people need to have their bills heard. And he said, we'll hear them, later today. We'll come back. Or we'll hear them in the morning. They can hear them tomorrow. And then that would not happen. So we really lost a lot of time, and I can understand their frustration, because it wasn't just us that were, those that were sitting there on the committee. It was people that needed to have their bills heard. So there were many did not get to be heard.
Yeah.
And we actually signed out some bills at the end of session because those people did not have the opportunity to have their bills heard. And we know that several of them, many were not even controversial. They just did not have the opportunity to come before that committee because we were not there. We were not present.
And what I feel, what was happening, you mentioned the public safety bill, which the left would call, it's a bathroom bill. The media would have called it a bathroom bill. And so you have the governor's nephew, Jeremy Hutchinson, the chair, and And I would just say what this was, because the governor didn't want this, but what I feel like happens when you try to thwart the will of the people, and that's what he was trying to do, trying to manipulate the committee and the power that a chair of a committee has. You're scared of the vote that the will of the people for the people that represent that district are going to get the bill out of the committee if you let it run. But in the process of trying to do this legislative sleight of hand, I'm not going to meet now because the consequences of that are bills that are non-controversial. What you're saying is aren't even heard. So maybe the routine business of the people of Arkansas is hurt, all because they don't want something that they perceive to be as politically risky. But of course, those senators who would have voted for it, they were just voting what their people wanted them to do. Is that about right?
Exactly. I mean, and their conscience, because truly that bill is not, and they mislabeled that bill. And I was asked, why do you think that part of the reasons that there were problems with this bill? And I said, partly because the media calls it something it's not.
Yeah.
And it's not another state's bill. There's no comparison. It's mislabeled. And I said that's to help, kill the bill or to get some bad press. And I said, you guys do that, and that's what you do. But I said it's not even close to North Carolina's bill. And I said it's also a public safety. I mean, it's a safety bill to protect our children and to protect our women. And I said, when you look at this and then you get the people to the table that want this bill, when those people come and talk about it, and, you talk to those people, they want the bill and they want it. And I wish that the governor had talked to me about this bill, because if he went out into the district and he talked to the parents and he talked to the pastors, and because that families talk to the pastors, and if he talked to, because I could work with the governor with this, I wish he would, because this is about the safety of our children. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah. Exactly right. And, of course, what they're saying is this is not a problem that exists in Arkansas, so why deal with it now? And first of all, that's not true. But second of all, I mean, the wisdom of, let's wait till a problem exists before we try to do the right thing is really frustrating to me. I wanted to remind our listeners of that. I wanted to remind our listeners of what a champion of conservatism you were. And this isn't really even along ideological lines. What we were just talking about is more just, hey, shouldn't government work in such a way to where we're not afraid of the vote of legislators that is going to reflect ultimately the will of the people who sent them there? That's not something we should be afraid of, and yet they tried to control and manipulate the process, and so I wanted to reiterate that. Folks, we're talking with Senator Linda Collins-Smith. She's from District 19. Hey, Linda, tell us real quick for some of our listeners out there, District 19, kind of summarize the geographic area.
Oh, thank you, Paul. It's a beautiful, wonderful district, but it's a long ways from the state capital. So it's at the northeast corner of the state, central northeast, and so it's I actually live in Randolph County, and it goes all the way over to Independence. I have all of Independence County. I have all of Izard County and all of Sharp. And I have about a half to, a third of Fulton. And I have about a half and a third of Randolph County. So it's a beautiful, I have 5 rivers, and we have lots of water in my district. But I have 5 in Randolph where all the flooding, which has kept me quite busy. And after everyone's safe, we're coming along, and recovery's going along well now. It's going to be a long time on recovery, but that's moving forward now. So everybody's breathing deep, and sighs of relief on all that. It's coming along well. And then all the way over to the White River, and just beautiful hills in Ozark and Delta. So I have it all.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's a big district, and I certainly, I appreciate all that you're doing for it. I know the people do too. I want to talk about a couple of bills, okay, because I mentioned some tough votes, and I want you to tell me about this. So here's SB 726. This was a bill that you sponsored, okay, and it was to amend Arkansas law concerning prohibited appearances by legislators and to amend a portion of the law resulting from initiated Act 1 of 1988. What was this designed to do?
Okay. On 726, well, that was an important bill to me because when you're talking about ethics and you're talking about, there seems to be a gap, and we want to talk about some problems we've seen with legislators, and this is an area that I think needs to be clarified, and I think that the law, I think if it were pushed, or if a case if it were challenged, I think that we would find that guilt would be found, because I don't think you can take money for a vote. Okay, I think that's clear.
So that's what this bill was designed to try to stop. Maybe a practice where they say, "Well, I'm not taking money for a vote." So kind of make that more practical for us. What are we talking about here?
All right, let's say that an attorney's hired by a client, and they go to our state capitol and they work on a bill that benefits that client, and they get a bill passed, they get us to vote for it, and they've actually been paid. If I do that and I take money, guess what? I can't do that. And I can't be a lobbyist and take money. And I can't be, if you're a consultant, are you truly a consultant or are you a lobbyist? What's that definition? So we need to make sure that we're letting the legislators know, that was intentionally letting legislators know that although that is not written into the ethics laws, it's a reminder that you can't take money for your vote.
So you're saying that if you, Linda Collins Smith, were paid, by somebody to vote a certain way, okay, that's done. That's obviously black and white. That's wrong. That's illegal. You're saying if an attorney, though, has a client with his law practice that is paying him to go down there to sponsor a piece of legislation or something like that, that is somehow legal, that right now that can happen and there's no consequences?
No, I don't think it's legal personally.
Okay.
And that's the point.
Okay.
And that's why this bill, I did this ethics bill, and also talked to our ethics director, and it's not written. This is like that little piece that's not written into our ethics law. But do I think that clearly it's against the law to take money for a vote? Yes, I do. I think we have clear examples of that with legislators who've been in trouble.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a
Do
really.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No,
This ethics bill is black and white, and why any legislator wouldn't vote for it, I can't understand.
So what happened? What was the vote? What ended up happening with this bill to try to clarify that, hey, this is illegal. If you're an attorney and you're a legislator, you can't go down there and basically do your client's bidding. What ended up happening with this thing? Did it get to the floor of the Senate? I see the Senate voted on it 2 times, so I'm assuming it didn't make it out of the Senate.
That's right. It was voted. Actually, the bill was there was amendment on the bill, of course, and the bill. I think what happened is I had to put the body. If my memory was, I had to put. It was that I had to actually put the body in the bill, and that I think it was filed as a shell bill, if I remember, that I had to put the body in the bill. So there was an amendment, and I did get the bill amended. And then when I went back to the bill to pass it, to present the bill, it was fought hard, especially by 2 senators, and especially by Senator Hutchinson did not want it.
Yeah, he's an attorney.
Very hard.
Dude's an attorney. He's the chair of the judiciary, and he himself is an attorney. So there you go.
And Senator Garner didn't want it and made it clear that he wasn't a practicing attorney.
But he's still an
but
attorney.
He didn't want that, which was very It was Senator Hutchinson fought hard too, and it was like, that's correct, but you guys have to understand there's a problem with taking money for a vote and so I have a problem with that myself. I'll just have to tell you that. If I can't take money, I think that's when you recuse that client.
Yeah. Yeah.
See,
really
I
good.
think that, to me, is very clear. And so I think that they need to consider that. I think that this should have passed, and I don't think anyone should have voted against this bill just because it wasn't written there. I think it was a good bill to clean up our ethics, a gap in our ethics, and it was a reminder to them. But to me personally, I think it would have been a good reminder to them. There should be no appearance, to me, with an attorney that I think they should always be above board. They may tell me they don't think they're doing anything wrong, but I think an attorney shouldn't take any money from a client to go down and pass that bill.
I'm so glad we're having this. I'm really glad we're having this conversation. We're talking with Senator Linda Collins-Smith. I mean, that's the kind of deep government reform that she's attempting to do, and that's the kind of stuff that, when it directly is going to affect politicians potentially, they fight back. And so I'm sorry that it turned out the way it does. I think you even running the bill, though, exposes the senators that, you just mentioned. I want real quick, we only have like 3 minutes left, and I want to talk about this other bill that you did, Senate Bill 727, concerning the civil forfeiture of assets involved in certain criminal offenses. Talk about that, because that is a huge conservative movement to say, hey, maybe we need to reform our civil asset forfeiture when no one's committed a crime. Talk about that.
Okay. We really have in our country, and we know we don't have the perfect sets of circumstances, but we have the best country when it comes to our laws in America and justice. We really believe we have the best. But, I believe in innocence until proven guilty. We all do. But is that true? Because when you could actually lose your assets, that civil asset forfeiture. And when I explained on the Senate floor how that can happen, it became very clear because it could happen to anyone. And I used an example of a young man getting cash to go across the country after he gets out of college. And he's got a job, but he's got to go across the country, so he takes cash. He doesn't have his checking account set up. So I use this little example of your son leaving home for the first time, and he doesn't have an account, and he gets stopped with no account. He gets stopped, and he's got cash, and someone thinks he's a drug person. It's drug money, and they take his money. Now he has no money. Now he has to prove and hire an attorney, but yet he has no money. And he's got to go hire an attorney. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they can take money because they think he's a drug runner. And
but
so,
they don't know. They don't have any proof of that.
That's right. And there's no proof. And now he's going to have to hire an attorney to get his cash back. So this is the short version because you only have a few minutes. But I want to say this. Making sure that our officers and our prosecutors know. I'm not against. They need to do their jobs. There are obviously criminals out there and people that do the wrong things, and there are drug runners. We know that. But I want to say this. There is a better way to fund our police department, our prosecuting department. There is a better way. It's our job to make sure that we handle the budget to make sure they are funded. But I believe innocence until proven guilty, and that we take care to make sure. And there's an example I'm going to use in Arkansas specific, and that case that I gave the day in the chamber. Someone texted the members in the chamber and told them that the money was given back, and it wasn't. It was about approximately $20,000.
Yeah, and it wasn't given back, was it? It wasn't.
It was not, but they said it was.
I know. Somebody gets a text, and then they come down. They say, "I've just been informed that money was returned, so this isn't a problem." Your bill did fail. Only 13 yes votes, 12 no's, 9 non-voted, 1 voted present. That was Trent Gardner. It was not given back, and it was literally the judge, the prosecutor realized they didn't have enough evidence to prove that. And what happened is when that text was sent, somebody that did not want that bill to pass that sent that out, I can tell you that money was not given back. The prosecutor in that Arkansas case
said, look, we need to drop this. And the judge said, nope. The judge then didn't let it be dropped, and they kept the man's money.
$20,000. He was going to buy a car. And that's just ridiculous.
And if he was fined, when they should have proved that he did something wrong.
I agree. It's a great conservative reform effort. Again, it failed as well. Senator Linda Collins-Smith, we're completely out of time. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you for all you do. Thanks, Paul.
All righty. Folks, we got to take a break. We'll be back in just a moment.
Don't wait until it's too late to recover what belongs to you. At Triple R Recovery, service is our specialty. We offer recovery of ATVs, boats, vehicles, and personal possessions. If you are in need of our services and want back what is rightfully yours, give us a call for 24/7 assistance at 1-866-593-7457. That's 1-866-593-7457. Or email us at triplrrecovery@gmail.com.
Protecting your business means protecting your data. But is your business really prepared to handle the growing threat of things like cybercriminals and ransomware? At iTex, they're committed to deploying the best security solutions to protect your business and your bottom line. Security threats are constantly evolving. So are security needs. Be proactive now and equip your business with the best cybersecurity available with iTex. Call them today for a free consultation at 870-336-9778. That's 870-336-9778 or itexusa.com. You've probably thought about getting your real estate license, but you keep putting it off. Don't put it off any longer. The Northeast Arkansas Real Estate School makes learning the business easy with enthusiastic, interactive, real-world situations, and you can do it all with only 6 days of class. Go to neaprofessionalschools.com and register for the next class. Financing is available. They'll travel anywhere in Arkansas to teach you everything you need to know to become a licensed real estate agent. Or you can take the class online at your own pace. That's neaprofessionalschools.com. 870-336-4155. Mention the Paul Harrell program and get 10% off. Don't put it off any longer. neaprofessionalschools.com.
This is Dan Sullivan with the Liberty Moment. Government is not the author or source of our rights, and you don't make America great again by giving one man in Washington all the power. You make America great again by recovering a constitutional republic, where Washington is populated by people who are servant leaders who want to return power to the people and communities. Because what makes America great again in this country are its Rotary clubs, small businesses, churches, schools, fire departments, and little leagues across this land. God bless the people who hear this truth. Senator Ben Sasse.
Paid for by Sullivan for Arkansas.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are up against the heartbreak. I went a little long with Senator Linda Collins-Smith, and I did that for a good reason, because we went over some really, really powerful conservative ideas that she attempted to get through but did not. And by the way, that once it exposes, it's really hard for these guys to actually. So many of them don't think for themselves. They believe anything they're told, instead of actually, getting the facts about whether or not the money was returned. If some guy that was going across that had $20,000 gets stopped, the $20,000 gets taken, he never gets it back. I mean, come on, that's not. And then they never was proven guilty of a crime. It's that kind of stuff that is, that's the kind of stuff that these folks should be doing down there, and they're not. But I wanted to highlight that. Back in a minute.
Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
I don't know what that's called, but that's not a good thing. So he also voted for tax increases to grow the size of government. I like it. All right, so now we got to decide how we're going to nominate. Say, please select the award. Gracie Carnes, Democratic Woman of the Year. No, I mean, should I nominate James Sturch to be the Democratic Woman of the Year? Maybe. Let's see. Harold Jinks, Democratic Man of the Year. Jeffrey Ledbetter, Young Democrat of the Year. Oh, no, seriously, though, because James Sturch is a young up-and-comer. I think he should – I think the Young Democrat of the Year, James Sturch would be good.
And then, so the Jeffrey Ledbetter Young Democrat of the Year. That's what we're submitting him as. And then, what does it say? Let's go look at the description of the Young Democrat of the Year. Okay. The Pulaski County Democratic Committee presents the Jeffrey Ledbetter Award to the outstanding young Democrat who shares the same passion and dedication of his namesake. Jeffrey Ledbetter was the son of Carl and Brownie Ledbetter. He followed in his family footsteps and was politically active at an early age. He participated in numerous political campaigns. He was always involved in the Young Democrats. This award should reflect an enthusiasm and idealism that is inherent in youth and is present when one thinks of Jeffrey Ledbetter. Anyway, we're nominating James Sturch for that award. It's the Young Democrat Award. That's what he's getting. And let's see. Do we have everything else? So I, Paul Harrell, nominate James Sturch for the 2017 Clinton Dinner Awards to receive the Jeffrey Ledbetter Young Democrat of the Year Award. And we click Submit. And thank you. Sweet. There we go. Hey, folks, if you want to do the same thing, I just want you to know the deadline for submitting big government Republicans to get Democrat awards, that's what I would suggest that you would do. The deadline for the award nominations is by 5 p.m. on Monday, July the 3rd. Nominations will not be accepted after the deadline, okay? So what I'm going to do during the break here is I'm going to take this submission link, right, and I'm going to go ahead and put it up on our Facebook page. We'll do that right during the break. Facebook.com/Paul Talk Show. That's Facebook.com/Paul Talk Show. And I may have to submit somebody. I don't know. Should I submit Dan Douglas on this thing? I really think maybe the next one, the next person that I submit might need to be him. What do you think? 870-275-9799.
Broadcasting across Arkansas and holding politicians accountable for what they say and do. The Paul Harrell Program.
It's my video dancing, my groove dancing. Sorry. All right, so the phone number, call or text, 870-275-9799. That's 870-275-9799. You know what this sound is?
Follow us on Twitter at Paul Harrell 1776. Now it's time for the twit of the day.
127th Upper Class Twit of the Year show. Your mommy is a twit. Thought by many to be this year's outstanding twit.
Where's Spoon, cousin? Why not axe?
Because it's dull, you twit. It'll hurt more.
All right, so twit of the day today is a guy by the name of Billy Fleming. Okay, he's on Twitter. He his handle is @JewBilly. And yeah, we're going to throw this up there. @JewBilly. That's @JOO Billy, not Jew, as in like Jerusalem, but Jew Billy, as in JOO Billy. I don't know. He may be Jewish. Yeah, he may be Jewish, but I don't know if that's the case. So I've been talking about this the entire broadcast, how refreshing this was. This guy is a liberal's liberal, but I wanted to get him to admit it. It's so refreshing arguing with liberals who actually confess to being liberals versus having to argue with Republicans here who claim to be conservative and really are not conservatives. They're really growing government. So today's twit of the day, let's start here. I found this out because I was clicking on this. So I found Charlie Collins, this guy, Billy Fleming. He was talking to Charlie Collins. Okay, speaking of conservative rhetoric that doesn't really meet action. Okay. Billy Fleming said this: we all pay. You can go ahead and click on that. Go ahead and click on the only way to lower the cost of health care. Okay, so we all pay for care no matter what. The only question is if you want people to die and or go bankrupt along the way. And so I decided to say something that I actually said this on Monday. No, the only way to lower the cost of health care is to quit giving so much of it away for free. Now, this did not go very well because the next tweet, Arkansas, I say Arkansas has 300,000 plus who are on Medicaid expansion. And, I said that because, he says, who are all these people out there in the world receiving free boatloads of free health care, and why would you rather they die than go bankrupt? Now, first of all, let's just think of that. That is why this guy is a twit of the day, just so you know. The reason why I'm making this guy Billy our twit of the day is because of this tweet and others like it. Because I just simply say, look, we've got people who are on free health care, and that's an issue. And he immediately says that I would rather them die or go bankrupt. That is why he is the twit of the day. I challenge just a little bit of these people's dream world, their detachment from reality, that Obamacare is so great and there's an infinite amount of resources for everybody to be content always. And if you suggest the fact that there's not an infinite amount of resources, that we don't live in a utopia, that I must then want people to die, it is a reaction of the left that is predictable but also extremely sad. That is why this guy is the twit of the day. Now, getting out of that, the conversation continued, okay, because I told him, look, he said, we've got people on Medicaid expansion, 300,000. Those are the people getting free health care. Okay. And he says, we all pay, if you click on hospitals claim 150 million, I think, at the top there, we all pay for care no matter what. The only question is if you want people to die and or go bankrupt. This is kind of a snapshot. I replied to this guy named Zach on Twitter. You can see this all at paulharrell.com. And this is a fact we've reiterated, that hospitals claim $150 million in uncompensated care costs, but Obamacare Medicaid expansion costs $2 billion a year in Arkansas. Spend $2 billion to fix $150 million. This is a fact that folks in Arkansas can't stand, but I'm sure people out of state, which I'm pretty sure this Billy guy is actually from Pennsylvania. By the way to go Pennsylvania, way to vote for Donald Trump. That's got to make people just furious who didn't vote for Trump. Don't you think? All right, getting rid of that one. Let's keep going here because some of these replies are great. A few more people respond to me. Let me get to this next one. Exactly. If everybody gets free health care, somebody has to pay for it. Now, this is a response where this Billy Fleming, the guy, the twit of the day, he's at JewBilly, at JOOBILLY. He responds to me when I say that Arkansas has 300,000 plus who are on Medicaid expansion. He says to me that isn't free. That isn't free. And my response to him is exactly. If everybody gets free health care, somebody has to pay for it. So it's really not free. I obviously know that the folks who are on Medicaid expansion, I know it's not free. It's free to them, though. Right? It's free to them as far as they're concerned. It's a guaranteed tax revenue stream, corporate welfare to insurance companies. That's how Arkansas did it. So exactly, if everybody gets free health care, then so he responds to that. He says everyone pays for it. If you click on, let me see here. Hang on a second. People on Medicaid. So at the top there, and go ahead and get rid of my photo here because they're not able to see. They're not able to see this the way they need to see this. All right, so everyone pays for it no matter how you design the system. This is Billy Fleming. When I say exactly, if everybody gets free health care, somebody has to pay for it. Everyone pays for it no matter how you design the system. Only choice is whether you want people to die or go bankrupt. Again, 2 times. And he did it on Charlie Collins first. Then he said it to me, and then he said it again. My only choice, this is the only choice we have in health care. Do you want people to live, or do you want people to die or go bankrupt because they can't pay for their health care costs? My response is that people on Medicaid expansion don't pay, though. That's a thing. People on Medicaid expansion don't pay. Let's go to the next one. But this is his response to that at the top. He says, yes, they do. So apparently, first of all, people on Medicaid expansion, he says, do pay for it. But then he clarifies, yes, they do. Most pay income taxes, all pay sales taxes, and many still have out-of-pocket expenses not covered by Medicaid. My response, so because people pay sales taxes, they are entitled to free health care. Now, here's where I shifted in my – and this is healthy. They may not think it was. I really think I ruined this guy's day, honestly, because he was upset. But I was doing this – I was never upset. I really wasn't. I was trying to engage, and this is where I shifted, and I was like, okay, so let's get to the crux of this. I want to know what you believe, and let me challenge what I believe. So because people say pay sales taxes, I write, they're entitled to free health care. Is that what you're saying? Okay. What does this other guy down here say? This other guy keeps trying to tell me. So, like I said, he had his liberal friends, whatever. He's this guy, Jesse Bacon. I take it there's no qualifying exam to be a right-wing radio host. Thankfully, there's not. Okay? I just keep trying to tell these guys who say that they want government single payer that just look at the VA. It'll be a disaster for everybody. It'll be an absolute disaster if you let these incompetent people that can't even, an incompetent system that the government shows itself as incompetent every single day. They don't need to be in charge of the most important thing, which is your health, which yada, yada, yada is your existence. They don't need to be in charge of that. They need to be as far away from that as you can possibly get. We've got to put the right kind of incentives back into this. So back to this, I ask him, so because people pay sales taxes, poor people, you think that they're entitled to free health care? That's what I ask. So then the next one, his response is everyone pays for it no matter how you design the system. Only choice is whether you want people to die or go bankrupt. Okay, so again, this is why this guy is the twit of the day. Because all I'm doing is challenging the fact that health care, no one can afford it. No one can afford it. That's all I'm saying. And all they can say is, well, no one can afford it because it should be free because there's an infinite amount of resources, which they're not really saying that because they haven't thought it through, because no one would argue that. No one would say there's an infinite amount of resources. We're never going to run out. Everybody should have everything they ever want, including they should never be able to die. Take it to its logical conclusion. These people want to try to perfect man. It doesn't. If you accept the premise that there's an infinite amount of resources. Exactly. If everybody gets free health care, someone has to pay for it. That's what I say. I say, I don't want people to die, by the way, but very predictable leftist reaction to facts about why working people cannot afford insurance. Hashtag twit of the day. This is when I decided to do this segment. This is when I decided to make this guy on Twitter, Billy Fleming from Pennsylvania, the twit of the day. Again, though, at the same time, I want to thank him, because what a refreshing Twitter conversation, and you'll see why here in a minute. What a refreshing Twitter conversation I had with this guy. I got to argue with an actual Democrat, leftist, progressive who is honest about who he is, what he believes, so much easier to argue with these people. Not that I've convinced him. He certainly hasn't convinced me. But the fact that we get to a point where we realize you have completely different ideas than me, and the only way to settle this is at the ballot box. What you want is so disastrous, in my opinion. I want to do everything I can within the system that we have to defeat your ideas at the ballot box. Way to go, Pennsylvania, for voting for Donald Trump. Okay, next. I still haven't really gotten an answer to these. So because people pay sales taxes, let's go to the next one. I tell somebody government-run healthcare will be a disaster. Get out of that one. Then we have... Okay, here we go. Correct me if I'm wrong. So let's go to the top of this one. It isn't free if you pay for it. I would draw you a diagram. So he insults me here. He says, it isn't free if you pay for it. I would draw you a diagram, but it would be a very simple diagram, and people would wonder why I had to draw it. Now, this is in response to me saying, so because people pay sales taxes, they're entitled to free health care. So he says that it is. So my next question is where I try to summarize what he believes. But I leave room for there to be I leave room that I could be wrong here. So I say, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me you believe I should be conscripted by law to be responsible for other people's health care costs. Okay? Now, this is the bottom. We need the bottom of this because the bottom of this is what he really responds to. So one of his liberal friends on Twitter named Annie responds, would it help if other people were also required to pay for yours? Now, first of all, keep in mind, that's the premise of my tweet. I mean, if I'm conscripted by law, obviously other people would be as well, unless it's just the Hate Paul Harrell Act. And I say, no, I don't believe they should be forced to do so. So it wouldn't change my mind. It wouldn't help because I don't want other people being forced by the government to be responsible for me. At the same time, I would gladly take charity. You know what I'm saying? Like if I was really, really sick or something like that. Because that's voluntary. These people want to use the government as a charitable arm, and then it would cease to be charity because charity is not forced. It is voluntary. Many of these leftists, if they were honest with themselves, they want to use the government in the name of charity so that they themselves don't have to be charitable. Personally, I don't need to give you anything. I pay my taxes. You know, that's the society that, I mean, you say, oh, well, maybe the young people don't. They're more idealistic. They actually believe liberalism can work. But the ones at the top, those sneaky elitists at the top that actually use government to oppress people and to maintain their class, I mean, it's literally the guy at the beginning of Aladdin. Get out of my way, street rat. Those are the types of people that take advantage over a system that's like, I don't need to be charitable. We've got the system. Now, I know in Agrabah, they didn't really have welfare programs. And if they did, Aladdin probably wouldn't have been as desperate as he. It would have been a terrible story. I don't really care about the princess. I got to stand in line and wait for this government handout. Now I'm really making people mad, by the way. Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. So the next one, no, I don't believe they should be forced to do so. Let's click on that one because Jew Billy is his name. He doesn't like this. See, look at this Annie girl. Go to the bottom. Go to the bottom. I didn't even see this. Annie writes, okay, well then, I guess I just don't know what to tell you, friend. We have different views on what it means to be part of society. There you go, Annie. She's actually being really nice. I want to defeat everything she believes about how I should be forced to be a member of society at the ballot box. I want to destroy that. By the way, I don't want to be conscripted and forced. But I really appreciate. See that I appreciate her. I appreciate her on the left. What is? Let's see here. Okay, let's skip that one. I got to find his next one here. No, I don't believe should be forced to do so. Here we go. He eventually chimes in. He claims that I abandoned the bogus claim. let's skip that one. Let's keep going. Hang on. I'm going to get you to this next tweet here. Here it is. I'm talking about individual liberty versus forced. Okay, so he responds to me saying, no, I don't believe they should be forced to be conscripted to pay for somebody else's health care. And this tweet of the day, Billy Fleming, they already do and will have to no matter what. So what are you even talking about? You see, he doesn't even know what I'm talking about. He's probably never even thought about this. He doesn't even know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, and this is what I say, individual liberty versus forced cooperation. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a system where I am actually free, or whether I'm trying to get Billy here and all of his friends to admit they are comfortable with forcing people to do something they want them to do. I'm trying to get them to admit that their means are to force, not to nudge. They want to force you to be enslaved to your neighbor, not by choice, but by law. They want you to, I stand completely against that concept, because every time that it's happened, first of all, oligarchs are fine, the elitists are fine, everybody else's life is miserable. The 20th century, from Mao to Stalin, to Hitler, we're talking about, is it 100 million people? Is it 150 million people dead because of this concept of we are going to pass a law that says everyone should give all of their wealth and money to the government, and we're going to, quote, divide it up equally. Okay, backing out of that, let's get to this next one about individual liberty. He replies to me, I'm talking about individual liberty versus force for cooperation. Billy Fleming, twit of the day. He says, I'm talking about reality, and I got him at that point. Not that I was out to get him. I was out for him to honestly just admit who you are. Individual liberty, he admits, is not realistic in the context of healthcare. Thank you, Billy Fleming, you twit of the day. I sincerely thank you, though. That's what I suspected you believed. I agree to disagree. Let's move on. That exercise was so refreshing to me. Now, he eventually insults me again and calls me a fish. I didn't even know what this fish is. He says that I'm like talking to some. Hang on, let's see. Redistribution of wealth. Where did he insult me? I can't remember. Anyway, you'll have to go and find it for yourself. But he calls me something called a gefilte fish, or a gefilte fish, Gefilte. He says talking with me is like talking with a gefilte fish, or a gefilte fish. And a gefilte fish, if I'm pronouncing that right, is a dish made from a poached mixture of ground deboned fish such as carp, whitefish, or pike. It is a dish traditionally served as an appetizer by Jewish households. So, just some deductive reasoning. I don't know this, but this guy's Twitter handle is @JewBilly, JOOBILLY. But I certainly do not get that reference. I mean, I guess I can see it's an insult because actually it sounds like a pretty disgusting dish. So maybe that's why, he hurled the insult at me. But anyway, Twitter of the day, @JewBilly. We got to take a break. 870-275-9799. Call or text, folks. Back in a minute.
Whether you're looking for a small desktop copier and printer, thinking about adding color to your documents, or considering a document management solution, Total Document Solutions is there to help. In business for decades, Total Document Solutions is an independently owned company that specializes in the ability to provide a high level of service in Northwest Arkansas the Arkansas River Valley, Southwest Missouri, and Southeast Kansas as an exclusive Platinum Authorized Sales Agent for the Xerox Corporation. At Total Document Solutions, they offer customers technology services to improve business results. Their dedicated sales team has the unmatched industry knowledge, professionalism, and expertise needed to address the unique challenges of your business. Total Document Solutions is independent, local, and well-connected to serve your office products and document needs. Call them today at 479-575-0770. That's 479-575-0770 for your Total Document Solutions.
Who's next to Zipline?
Me, and I'm really excited about this.
Sir, I'm sorry. The Zipline has a 350-pound weight limit, and frankly, I do not think it would be safe for you.
Oh, that's okay. I self-identify as 180 pounds, so it's cool.
Sir, that doesn't make any sense to me, and I'm afraid we can't let you ride the Zipline. You're too heavy. I'm sorry.
I can't believe this. I thought we had evolved as a society. I thought this was America, but I guess this is just my plight. First slavery, and now fat shaming.
Sir, again, I'm really sorry.
You listen to me. If you don't let me ride, not only will I sue this company for discrimination, I will sue you for damages because right now my feelings are so hurt and I feel embarrassed because I'm holding up the line.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Watch it, mister.
Look, okay, I'm sorry. I just don't think it would be safe for you.
You don't understand. I self-identify as skinny. So you have to let me ride the zip line. The Constitution says so. I get to define my own reality.
Okay, fine, whatever. Ride the zip line. Mike, let this man ride the zip line.
Thank you. Now watch as my self-identity trumps your bigotry. See you on the other side, racist. Here I go! Doctor, thank goodness. What's the prognosis?
Sir, we've done everything we can, and you only have seconds to live.
No, you cannot say that. I do not self-identify as a dead person.
PHP Parody.
All right, I left out the most important part. Welcome back to the program. Left out the most important part. We got to go here in a minute, but the most important part of this whole Twitter tweet of the day discussion is his last tweet of mine. The last thing he said when I confronted this guy and told him that individual liberty is not realistic in his opinion, and that's what he's admitting. He says, "Wow, you caught me in your clever web of words there. I'm not interested in some academic view of how society ought to function. You are." And I just left it there. I didn't tweet anymore. But, folks, the truth is the complete opposite. The complete opposite is true. Because socialism works out really well on a chalkboard. Because the human component's gone, and there are no deaths to make people change their minds. Right? But this is ingrained in them. Redistribution of wealth. They probably thought redistribution of wealth it's like, well, it's only for really, really rich people who can afford it. No, Obamacare, and our Arkansas politicians perpetuated this. Obamacare was about taking middle-class families, making their insurance unaffordable so that other people would get it for free. I mean, and people are still going to pay it because they're made to, and also they want to have insurance to protect their family. But now the insurance is essentially useless. You can't afford it. Your deductibles are high. It's unbelievable. Folks, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.
CBS News Now. Mark Levin in minutes. This is FM News Talk 101.3 KBTM Jonesboro.